As promised, we are joined right now by a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame, a seven-time All-Star, 19 years in the NBA. He won an Olympic gold medal with Team USA in 1996, a two-time national champion while at Duke. He is also the managing director of USA Basketball men's national team. We are joined via Zoom by Grant Hill. Grant, it is so great to have you on once again. How you doing, Grant?
Hey, Jim, I'm doing well, buddy. How are you?
I'm great, Grant. Really appreciate the chance to talk to you. Got a few things to cover, so let's just jump right into it. As managing director of USA Basketball and the men's national team, what an amazing opportunity and challenge for you. I want to ask, given the options and the other opportunities that you've had, Grant, why is this something that resonated with you the way it has, and why did you decide to take this on?
That's a great question, Jim. I was really thinking about this opportunity when I knew Jerry Colangelo, who preceded me in this role and did a fantastic job with USA Basketball, assuming that role back in 2005. But just, I've had the good fortune of playing in sports and being in and around sports. I'm in your profession. I'm in broadcasting. I'm in ownership. But the chance to have this responsibility, the chance to have this role, I played for, the U.S., the Pan American Games. I was on the select team in 92, the Olympic team in 96 that played in Atlanta. So I understand the importance and the significance of the U.S. men's national team. And to be able to now sort of be the steward of this program was something that I was excited about. And I'll tell you, it's not ceremonial. The rest of the world is much, much better than they were in 96. And these teams, the FIBA style of basketball is very, very different than, our NBA game. So it's an incredible challenge, but also an incredible opportunity and something that I'm grateful to be in.
We're talking to Grant Hill. Grant, I was going to ask you about how you go about building this thing, but I want to follow up on what you just said because you have played and succeeded on the international level, and that's a different animal now. Like, how different is the international game, and then what types of players typically fare best against international competition?
That's a great question. I think sometimes, Jim, because we've had so much success with basketball in the U.S. and we've had so many great players, the game was invented here. We feel like we've mastered the game of basketball. I don't think the casual sort of observer or basketball fan fully respects the differences between the NBA game and the FIBA game. There's greater physicality in the FIBA game. The officials allow the defense it's almost like the 80s and 90s basketball. You think of the New York Knicks in the early 90s, you think of the bad boys, maybe not that extreme, but certainly greater physicality. There's different rules. So defensively, you can pack the paint. So the driving lanes aren't as open. And then, you got to have rim protectors. You got to have 3-point shooting. We've historically had great athletes. In the NBA, we tend to beat you with great individual play. You give the ball to Michael Jordan and you let Michael Jordan be Michael Jordan. You give the ball to LeBron James and let him be LeBron James. In the international game, they beat you with superior execution. They don't necessarily have guys, or at least historically haven't had guys like a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James or Kevin Durant, some of the greats who've been a part of the USA basketball program in years past. So they really execute and run their stuff. And if you slip up, you don't defend, you don't concentrate, you're not together, locked in defensively, they'll score. There's fewer possessions in a FIBA game. We have 100+ possessions in the NBA game. There's low 70s, high 60 possessions. So every possession means something. So I could go on and on with regards to the various nuances to the game. But we have a healthy respect for that. And that really goes into the process of assembling this roster. It was very thoughtful. We were very intentional, and we felt the skill sets of all our guys translate well on the international stage.
So well said. Grant Hill joining us. One thought about that, Grant. All of those things factor into how you put that puzzle together and the players you select. I'm curious about this. Generally speaking, do all the players you approach understand the pride associated with representing country? And if for some reason they don't, do you perhaps rule them out of consideration? How does that factor in?
Well, what's interesting, Jim, this generation, or, this team, and this iteration of the men's national team, no one on this team, this World Cup team, has been on the men's national team before. We have young guys, with the exception of maybe Bobby Portis, who has been a veteran and been a champion in the NBA. But a lot of these guys have watched and admired and dreamed about, having this opportunity. They watched the Redeem team when they were young. And they were inspired by the LeBron Jameses and the Kobe Bryants, the Jason Kidds, the Carmelo Anthonys. So that influence, I think, has really helped with my job and assembling the roster and filling that pipeline and getting these young players to be a part of it. I think when you put on that USA, and look, we have at times our differences, and certainly our country at times we go through challenges, but sports, as you know as well as anybody, sports brings communities together, and it can bring countries together. And so these guys now are feeling what that is like, what it's like to go to Spain last week and play on the road in a hostile environment where, the fans are out for blood and want to see their country beat us. And dealing with some tough calls and some tough breaks with the whistle, but just collectively coming together and us, USA, competing against Spain and ultimately beating them. That was a great experience, and they got a chance to really understand what this is about. And the more we go through this journey as we move on to Manila for the World Cup next week, they'll come out of this with a real sense of pride and hopefully a sense of accomplishment, bringing back the gold medal.
We are talking to Grant Hill for a couple more moments. I was going to ask you about Spain, Grant. What a great win that was. I mean, Spain's obviously a power, and you beat them 96-88 on their Spanish soil. Very hostile environment. You guys showed up huge. What about Jalen Brunson? 21 points in that win over Spain, a perfect 9 of 9 from the floor. Steve Kerr calls him a natural leader. How impressed have you been with the Knicks point guard?
Jim, I've been impressed with Jalen, but I'll be honest. I mean, he is doing and providing exactly what I thought he would. I mean, you saw what he's done with that Knicks franchise and kind of resurrected things and brought that not just great play, but leadership and maturity. But also, like, he's a tree trunk. Like, he is solid. He's like a fullback. And in that game against Spain, there was so much physicality, but he was able to also dish it out. He came out, was on fire, really set the tone in a hostile environment, and has really been one of our leaders, not just at that game and with his great play, not just in our camp as we prepared in Las Vegas, but even before we met in camp in Las Vegas, getting guys together on group threads, talking with one another, building that camaraderie and that chemistry that is so important. You talk about Spain, which is a great FIBA basketball team. Spain, that core of guys, they've been together for many, many years. They've played the FIBA game many, many years. They've played with one another in the FIBA game for many, many years. We're coming together, and these guys, as 12 players, have never played together on this stage. And so to accelerate the process of coming together is so important. And Jalen has played a critical role in doing that.
Grant Hill, my guest. So, Grant, one last thought. All of this, of course, is a prelude to next year's Olympic Games in Paris. I know you have spoke to the reigning MVP, I should say, Joel Embiid. Now, Joel, we know, has dual citizenship with France and the U.S. What's your sense of where his head is at, and maybe what's your pitch to him?
Yeah, when talking to Joel, I feel like a college coach, on a recruiting visit. But, look, Joel is a great player, a great young man, and I've enjoyed watching him grow and develop, and I've enjoyed getting to know him over the course of the last year. He is certainly going to be, coveted and recruited by multiple countries, and it's good to have options. We are hopeful though that he will consider us, but before we go down that road, I do think the focus is on the right here and right now. The World Cup is so hard. You have 32 countries. You have to win. You have to win 8 games. It's like the tournament. It's like the NCAA tournament. You lose and you're out. And so, and the last time that we participated in the World Cup in 2019, we got 7th place. So all of my attention is on, managing, servicing, helping to guide Steve Kerr and his staff and our players to the results that we desire. And then we'll get to that down the road. But I do love Joel Embiid. I think he's a great player, and maybe there'll be an opportunity. Maybe he'll want to be a part of this moving forward next year.
It is a fair point. I respect that. Already with a basketball pedigree like none other, and go ahead and add to that resume, Managing Director of USA Basketball Men's National Team, Grant Hill, our guest. Grant, I appreciate you. That goes without saying. So good to have you back on the show. Grant, thanks so much. I really appreciate the conversation.
As always, Jim, I appreciate you, and thanks for having me.
My man, Grant Hill. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell to be the first to know when we do upload a new video.